Hello everyone, welcome back to a brand new episode of Trash Talk. I'm here with Tired Cast.
Hello, hello.
Hello. Right, jumping straight into it. Obviously, a few months ago, if anyone looked at your channel, you would have been making commentary, centralized content. What changed for you?
Um, I just started to not enjoy commentary anymore. It
Hmm.
went from like me entering it, I was like making fun of channels just I didn't like, or making fun of dumbass videos that people were putting out, and
Yeah,
that turned into like me talking about pedos or a mini lad or EDP, and
yeah.
like there's only so much somebody could take with that shit. Like that shit could
Hmm.
be so draining, especially if you talk about people who like you really enjoy watching and like you see them turn out to be a scumbag, and just like taking that and turning it and calling them like a nonce and shit like that,
Yeah.
it's not the best feeling. So I wanted to turn away and do something that was uh something that I did for basically all my life, which was gaming and shit like that. And I
Hmm.
wanted to like talk about that because I really fucking love video games. That shit's been a part of my childhood, and I just wanted to show the world what kind of games that I would like and what kind of games
Yeah.
are just fascinating to play or just really shit to play.
Well, it's quite a big content shift from like going from commentary to like gameplay sort of stuff where you're talking about games you like or games that have, I don't know, like had a downfall or whatever. Like it's quite a big change and shift in the content you're making. Did you have any backlash for doing that, or was the majority of people that watch your content quite supportive of it?
I don't think I've actually received backlash at all. I think the
Hmm.
biggest critique that I've gotten ever since my shift was that I'm just new at it and I'm gonna have some like rookie mistakes, which is like everything, every YouTuber will get that type of critique. So it wasn't
Yeah.
anything to like negative. All the reception I got were positive reception. A lot of
Hmm.
people, even commentators who I haven't talked to in a couple months, they reached out to me and said, "Hey, this shift was the best move for you and your channel, and I'm a big fan of what you create." So I would say it's pretty positive.
Mhm. And like even looking at like the horrible side of shit, like the shit analytics, not or not saying your analytics are shit, just saying that analytics are shit in general. Like your videos seem to be doing quite well for your channel size as well. It seems to be going well for you, especially with your most recent video.
Um, I would actually argue that my analytics are being pretty shit.
Hmm.
Cause the two videos that have been popping off, my Project Zomboid and Ultra Kill,
Yeah.
I feel like that video got across that community and it's been circulating around that, whereas my other videos have not been picked up in the recommendation or the search tab or anything like that. So I'm gonna get a lot of new viewers from like communities of games and shit like that,
Hmm.
but returning viewers, I would say no. And it's pretty common to see that with content shift, I guess, especially when it's like one side of it's commentary and then the other side is gaming. That shit is not very uh, connected, I should
Yeah.
say.
Yeah.
So I would, yeah.
Well, like taking a look at some of like your most like or well the game videos that have done really well, it seems to me that the content shift has probably like for you, but I don't know if you'll agree with this, but from the outside it looks like it was probably the best thing for you, especially content wise.
Definitely. I would even argue that like at this point now my channel has been doing better ever since the jelly bean shit, which like
Hmm.
that exploded my channel. I don't know if you'd remember that jelly bean craze, but
Yeah.
like I was one of the first people to make a video on it even before the beak. And I got about 100,000, 130,000 views off of that. And that
Oh my
like
God.
doubled my channel and shit like that. But I'm at the
Hmm.
point now where I'm starting to get returning viewers and actual fans and shit like that. So yeah, I would argue and say that my channel's been doing better than ever.
Yeah, that, and I guess as well from like a mental standpoint as well, like you were saying that like the commentary videos, the stuff you were making, it was just like getting too serious and about the people you were talking about rather than just making fun of people. It was like talking about real serious situations. If now this is a hypothetical here, if those situations weren't really as popular and you didn't have to cover them like in the commentary community, do you ever see a possibility where you would have stayed in commentary, or do you think this was always going to happen?
Not really. I think this is always going to happen, but this type of content shift, just
Hmm.
expedited the inevitable possibility of me
Yeah.
shifting my content. Um, because even like you making fun of people and keeping it lighthearted, you're gonna make a lot of enemies by doing that type of shit.
Hmm.
Like Pyrocynical Leafy can very much attest to that. You know, a lot of their enemies that still hate them to this day. So
Yeah.
I feel like that could be also extremely draining to somebody, just not as much as calling somebody a pedophile.
Yeah, 100%. And like, as someone who still does some commentary, or like mainly does commentary stuff on my main channel, I can testify to that. It doesn't matter how like jokey the videos are, you're always going to get people that disagree and people that hate you for those sort of videos. And like, just quickly touching on that, because I know obviously you've moved on. Did you make enemies when you were doing commentary content, when you were doing all that sort of stuff?
Um, Yeah, I've had encounters with people that don't like me and I don't like them. It could be as something as small as like me disliking KJ the idiot or some other spurg like that manner.
Yeah.
But it's got I believe when I first started out, I've gotten into the hot waters with this one GTA
Mhm.
YouTuber Zach Cox TV. I don't know if you remember him, but he and
Mhm.
I got into some beef with copyright and shit like that. So yeah, I would say yeah.
And I'm assuming as well now that you moved to gameplay stuff and talking about games. I don't know why I say gameplay stuff, but like talking about games and doing stuff that you actually enjoy. I'm assuming like the hate is a lot less. Like I'm assuming you're still gonna get some annoying comments or whatever, but like I'm assuming the hate is a lot less than when you were doing commentary stuff.
Yeah, I still get people like commenting on my channel
Hmm.
how much of a shit YouTuber I am, or
Yeah,
them
yeah.
just outright disliking my video. But I've been noticing it's a lot less since
Mhm.
I'm not just going after some somebody's favorite YouTuber. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. And I guess on that sort of side of stuff, getting negative comments, like I don't know if your mental health with doing commentary was ever bad or whatever, but let's just throw this question out there. Have you noticed a positive change in the way you feel towards content when you're making this game sort of stuff?
Oh God, yeah. A lot of the times I would procrastinate like me putting out content. Like I would open up my editing software or OBS and stuff like that, and I would just
Mhm.
hesitate for minutes on end, just not wanting to go through with me recording or editing or anything. But nowadays it feels like even though it is a lot of work going through hours upon hours of a game and then dissecting it, I still have so much more fun, and I always have ideas on top of ideas that I always juggle through just because I want to go through each one of them as quick as I can because I love them so much.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, I guess you don't as well. Like you don't have that negative backlash for some people that like enjoy that content creator you're talking about. Now you're talking about games and stuff. Like we've touched on. Of course, you're gonna get those like common comments that are like saying your content's bad or they don't enjoy it. But it seems like your mental health has, especially towards videos, has definitely improved. And would it be safe to say that sometimes when making commentary videos, you would have like spiral moments where you just spiral into like, would do I want to post this? Is this good enough? And stuff like that.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
Hmm.
There would be some moments where I get worried about if I'll say something wrong that'll turn my audience against me. Um, and there would just be moments where I just sit back and don't want to do anything and not even want to touch YouTube just because I didn't want to go down that route.
Well, like it's very clear to see that like you're very happy with the choice you've made in like moving to like content and genre. But is there anything like at all that you could ever see yourself making another commentary video ever? Is there a topic that would ever come up that you think you would touch on, even if it's, I don't know, about a game, but you would make it in sort of like a commentary style fashion? Could you ever see yourself doing something like that if like the topic was right?
Yes, in fact, that's probably what my next video is going to be about, where I touch up upon like the insider of Dead Island 2 and stuff like
Hmm.
that. Because that's an also very interesting topic to talk about. That's not like the run of the mill scummy YouTuber. There is like a shit ton of well shit going on inside of a company, and it's very interesting to look at and talk about. And I think I want to stick mainly to reviews, but I kind of want to do also what like I don't know if you know the YouTuber Mischief. I
Yeah,
want to do what he does and talk about like gaming news or stuff like that.
hmm. Well, I guess that sort of ties as well with like your older content and newer content together. But I'm assuming you're probably going to enjoy that more as well because you're talking about games and stuff you genuinely like and stuff that you generally find interesting, rather than talking about, I don't know, Nikocado Avocado.
Yeah, 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 very much so.
Yeah. Well, and this sort of leads on to the next question about like your future endeavors and like videos. Have you got any videos that you're working on currently that you can just reveal a few stuff about without spoiling it?
Yeah, yeah. So, I'm gonna be doing this series. This was like
Mhm.
something I planned even before me shifting content, where I look at the original trilogy of Silent Hill 1, 2, and 3, all made by
Mhm.
Team Silent, and that those videos are gonna probably be over an hour and a half, maybe.
Oh, damn.
Uh, yeah, yeah. I want them to be like very long form style contents.
Mhm.
Something like Pyrocynical does with his game reviews and shit like
Oh,
that.
yeah.
Because I really like those type of videos where you go through scene by scene and dissect everything that's there and show like even that the littlest details matter. I fucking love those type of videos.
Mhm. Yeah, I think that especially with your success with like especially with the Project Zomboid video and like the most recent one, I definitely think that could be something that could be quite a hit on your channel and hopefully get into those like search terms and like be put on the front page of YouTube.
Yeah, yeah, hopefully so. I'm praying to God every day that it doesn't flop and reach about
Hmm.
100 views after the first 24 hours. That would be
Yeah,
terrible.
yeah. Well, with doing that content and stuff, is there any game that you want to make a video on that you haven't really put as a project yet? Is there any games you're eyeing up to talk about?
I really want to look at Dead Space.
Mhm.
I've been told that's like one of the all-time best horror games,
Yeah.
and I want to look into that because I've never had an Xbox growing up or even to this day, so I was never really able to play any of the Dead Space games. So it's gonna be like a fresh look into a very classic horror game.
Hmm. And is there like, especially talking about the gaming stuff now, is there a game that you like really, really enjoy and that you want to make a quite a positive video on and you want to talk about how good it is? Is there a game like that that you would like in the future want to talk about?
Um, Off the top of my head, not really. A lot
Hmm.
of the games that I go into, I will just browse through Steam or get like recommendations through my viewers. And unless they're like a top game that everybody's heard of, like I kind
Yeah.
of want to go dig deep into indie games and what they have to offer.
Hmm. And this is just a very random question that I think could be quite a good topic to talk about.
Right?
Obviously, there's quite a few games that are starting to be made into like shows and movies. Like we've just seen the Halo show, for example, on Paramount Plus. There's all this sort of like content that's coming out around like games, and they're being developed into movies, shows, shorts, or whatever. Could you ever see yourself ever like talking about them or even including them sort of style like stuff that relates to games in your videos?
For the time being, I would say no. I want
Hmm.
to keep my content a little bit niche, surrounding like horror games only, so I can build up a
Yeah.
little bit of a community before I branch out into more like movies and shows and all that. Like
Hmm.
I want to look into that shitty Resident Evil Netflix show that everybody
Yeah.
despises, but I don't think the time is right for me to do that just yet.
Do you, like I'm assuming from that you can see yourself in like I don't know maybe the near future or the distant future like doing that and actually diving into that show and maybe even including it in a video talking about the Resident Evil games and sort of stuff like
Most definitely, yeah.
that.
Probably somewhere down the line, yeah.
And like talking just about games and your content and like especially goals, do you have any goals that in the next year, like a year today, that you want to achieve, or are you just like very much happy with what you're doing at the moment and you don't really care?
I want to set like milestones every year. This year I want to
Mhm.
hit 10,000 subscribers before reaching 2023.
Yeah.
I'm thinking next year I want to quintuple that, maybe try to hit 50K. Since that would probably be like right down the line afterwards. Um,
Mhm.
I
It,
do have like mini goals that I
yeah.
create and like that'll reward people for helping me hit it. Like I believe 25K, I'll do a full retrospective on all the FNAF games, which I'm very
Mhm.
much not excited to look into since it's Five Nights at Freddy's.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, but yeah, I try to create goals and all that each year.
Mhm.
But most of them are just milestones.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. Like you like said about milestones and like goals you set yourself like for the end of the year, like you want to hit 10K. Is that like the end goal? Like I know a lot of people like their dream is to hit 100K or hit a million. Is there an end goal that you would love to achieve where if you didn't get past that, you would be happy enough just with that number?
I'm sorry. I don't know. Do you mean like
Like
could you rephrase
yeah,
that?
yeah, 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 of course. Like a lot of like content creators have like an end goal of like a million subscribers or 100K. Would you be happy if like that end goal you never gained a subscriber past that? Like, what is your end goal?
Um, that's actually a really good question. I think my end goal would probably be 1 million subscribers. That's like every YouTuber's dream upon joining.
Hmm.
Um, and now the real question goes to what happens if I do hit the end goal, and
Yeah,
I really don't know. I look at like people like Diesel Patches who did reach 100 or not 100, 1 million subscribers, and he just left because he didn't want to like oversaturate his content or overstay his welcome, and that's like
yeah.
very admirable. Like he left on a very good term and shit like that, and that's something
Hmm.
that's been like interesting me. It's just like I leave at my end goal. I did what I want with YouTube, and I leave off
Yeah,
on a good note, and I don't have a name that is just dragged through the mud by the time I leave YouTube. You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah, yeah. Like, and like this is a complete hypothetical. Let's say you do reach your end goal when you do that. Could you see yourself ever branching out to of like doing other stuff, maybe starting like, a company or whatever? Have you ever thought about doing stuff like greater stuff than YouTube?
Most definitely, yeah. I would say
Hmm.
that I would need to have a life to live outside of YouTube, like
Yeah,
finding a nice person, excuse me, settling down and just living off my life. I think
yeah.
YouTube is or should be kept as a career and all that, and
Mhm.
careers can change and people can retire to help move on to different ventures, and I probably want to do the same, yeah.
Yeah, well, there's a question that I usually ask everyone that comes on this podcast, but you're one of the first people that has actually moved away from commentary and is doing something that you genuinely enjoy. So I'm going to retune the question for you specifically. If you could make a video on any game that you dislike, what would the game be and why?
Oh, that's a really tough question. Holy shit.
It's usually a
Um,
tough question for the commentators when they have to call out someone, so I don't know how much, I don't know how you're feeling for this one.
um, I kind of want to go into the de-evolution of Call of Duty Zombies. I think Call
Mhm.
of Duty Zombies over the years have been a staple in horror, of course, but like
Yeah.
I think over the years it just started to become worse and worse, and I kind of want to delve deep into that and see what the fuck happened with zombies.
Hmm. Like, and like, it seems like as well you've like maybe even given that a thought because that was quite a quick answer and response. Could you ever see yourself in the near future doing that, or do you think that's like quite a big project that if you hit like I don't know maybe 10K or I don't know a milestone that you'd do that to celebrate with?
I feel like that would be a bigger project that I need to hold off on. If
Hmm.
I want to do it, I want to do it with a bang and try to get like maybe other people's opinions on it. I want to make it into like sort of a documentary. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Like I'm assuming that would probably be like maybe an hour or hour plus long video.
Probably, maybe, yeah.
Hmm.
Depending if I have
Yeah.
enough to talk about.
Yeah, if you can pad it out enough. And like the final thing I want to talk about because I don't want to like extend this like past what it has to be. I don't want to drag it out because I think this has been great so far. But with your gaming videos and like doing all this sort of stuff, do you think there's ever like a possibility, like we touched on, you doing maybe in the future like gameplay videos or talking about games, but in like sort of a commentary style where you use the elements of that? Could you ever see yourself like doing more of those videos on maybe like a second channel or something like that, or you just dead focused on your main channel?
I think I'm dead focused on my main
Hmm.
channel. I want to build this up first before doing anything else.
Yeah, getting into other endeavors on YouTube and stuff like that.
Yeah, yeah.
But well, thank you for coming on the podcast. You're probably one of the first people that hasn't like done solely commentary stuff, and you've actually moved away to do something that's quite interesting and that like takes stuff from your commentary side to make videos that you actually enjoy.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure being on here and talking to you about my departure.
Well, I've thoroughly enjoyed it. Like as someone that I'm not the biggest like player of games, but I thoroughly enjoy your content. And like I saw your video on Larryx. That's how I actually got introduced to you because you showed like one of my tweets in your video.
Oh, really?
Yeah, yeah, that's how I actually found out about you because one of my friends sent me that video, and ever since then I would wanted to speak to you about your content creation even before you made that like big shift. And obviously, it's a lot more interesting talking to you now. You've sort of made that shift, and you're genuinely happy with the content you're making.
Dude, I I don't know what to say. Like, damn, dude, you're flattering me.
Yeah, yeah, but I'm trying to not make it like a cocksucky end, you know. Just
No,
like
no,
I
I got
I just want to put that out there, you know.
Dude, well, thank you for sticking with me before the change, during the change, and after the change. That means a lot, man.
Yeah, no problem. I just thought you were generally quite an interesting person to get on here, especially with, of course, your past in commentary, but of course with your bright future ahead of you. So I generally just wanted to speak to you, even though like this podcast is aimed towards commentators. I just thought you were generally just quite an interesting person, quite an interesting case, especially while like I see you still on my timeline and stuff, and like being like involved in the community without making content and stuff. So I just found it really interesting.
Yeah, yeah. I want to keep it at towards just that. Me briefly talking, lurking, but not doing anything while participating in commentary. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, no, I get you. But yeah, I appreciate you coming on the podcast, and all your social will be linked down below if people want to go and watch your videos further and see you for you.
Thank you, man.
Well, everyone, thank you for watching today's episode of Trash Talk. I've been here with Tiredcast, and I will see you in the next episode.